What's up guys, welcome to the video. Today we are going to go over warming up and activating your glutes so you can have the best glute workout possible. A lot of people struggle with feeling their glutes activate, and that's because a lot of us have very sedentary lifestyles. We're sitting a lot and our glutes just turn off, and it's really hard to get them to activate if you don't know how to do it properly. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. This video is in partnership with a company called ProSource, and they provide these resistance bands I'm going to be using. I will link them down below, and you can get these for 20% off with the code Wold20, I believe. I'll put everything in the description box below. I'm going to be voicing over each of these moves that I'm going to be doing before my glute workout. And the glute workout that I'm going to be doing after this will be in the next video. This is going to be a 3-video series that will help you grow your glutes. So the first movement that we're going to be doing are these bodyweight squats, and the resistance band is really the key for these because it forces you to think about pushing your knees out and using your outer glutes to do that, because if your outer glutes are not turned on, then you are a lot more likely to just let your knees cave in. You're not going to be activating your outer glutes, and you're not going to be stabilizing yourself, also not moving effectively or safely. So this one is a big key if you're going to get an effective and injury-free workout in. You want to really think about using your glutes to power up out of the bottom and then squeeze really hard at the top. The next movement are these Bandaged Shuffles. So I like to set either a distance or step goal. So I'll pick a milestone, or I'll say 20 steps each way, which is about what I did here. So I shuffle to one side and then the other, and then I also go forwards and backwards. With this, you want to make sure your steps are fairly small and you're keeping constant tension in the resistance band, because this keeps your constant tension on your glutes as well and really makes them work. Your glutes should be burning by the end of this. And if you're more of a beginner, then you want to put the band around your knees, or right below your knees, not around your kneecap, but just below your knees. If you're a little more advanced and your glutes are stronger, then either pick a heavier band or move the band to around your ankles. Just by moving it farther down, you're making your levers longer and therefore making it harder to do the movements. But same thing here, you want to keep tension in the band the whole time. You'll see that the band is never just slack around my ankles. It is always tight. And you do the same thing walking side to side, forwards and backwards. For this, you don't want to have your legs stick straight. You want to keep a slight bend. General rule of thumb for any sort of lower body movement, you want to have a slight athletic bend in your knees. So after you complete each direction at least one time, you can move on to the banded clamshells. This is another one that's great to activate your outer glutes. You'll notice that a lot of these movements so far are hitting your outer glutes, and that is because it is the area of our butt that most girls have, and most people in general have trouble activating. So that's why I like to really focus on it before my workouts. And again, it helps you stay safe and injury free because it helps you stabilize your hips and your knees and everything else that you need in order to be able to move safely and effectively. So for this one, I like to do 15 to 20 reps on each side, depending on the resistance band strength. It does help if you kind of put your hand on the side of your glute to cue yourself that that's where you want to squeeze. You should be feeling a really deep, intense burn with this one, even though the range of motion is not super huge. Next up, we're going to do some banded glute bridges. You can do these without the resistance band if you'd like, but again, I like using the band because it helps you activate your outer glutes. But this one targets a little bit more of your glute medius, which is just the largest part of your glutes. It's the center. And with this, you want to think about not quite touching the floor and then tucking your glutes up and under and thrusting your hips towards the sky. Again, a lot of glute exercises are not going to be cute, but you just got to get over it. Next up, we are doing the ever popular donkey kick or kickback. For this one, I like to anchor a band around the bottom knee and then kick up with the opposite leg. For this one, you want to think about targeting that upper glute shelf area, and that should be what you feel contracting. You want to definitely keep your core and your shoulders tight and you don't want to be feeling this in your lower back. If you're feeling this too much in your lower back, make sure you're not kind of sway backed. You want to make sure that your back is protected by engaging your core and holding your belly button towards your spine. So do about 15 to 20 on each side of this one. You want to have a brief pause at the top and really make the most of that contraction on either side. So don't rush through these. Make sure you're feeling the contraction and establishing that mind-muscle connection with your glutes, because that's really going to be a big key for having an effective glute workout and not letting the surrounding muscles take over during the various exercises that you're going to be doing. Because if you're a little bit more quad or hamstring dominant, for example, you're going to have a hard time feeling your glutes activate, and that is why this little warm-up sequence is so important. So after I finish up with that glute activation series, I like to move on to a little bit of foam rolling. Now, you don't want to be doing a extensive foam rolling session before you lift. You want to save that for either after you lift or a time totally separate from your lift, just because it is a very demanding and challenging thing for your muscles to go through if you're doing intense myofascial release. But the purpose of foam rolling before you lift is just to increase circulation, get those muscles nice and pliable, get your joints nice and lubricated. So I like to roll over each area for about 10 to 15 passes and just briefly pause on the areas that are a little extra tender. This helps you loosen up, move more effectively, and prevent injury, which has kind of been a theme so far, as obviously your warm-up should be. And so first, I like to roll out my quads, as you guys have seen, and then I move on to my glutes. And it's kind of tricky to foam roll your glutes. If you're going to be doing a more intense myofascial release session later, I would recommend using a lacrosse ball or something like that. But this is just, again, to kind of loosen the area up, get some blood flow in there, and let the tissues breathe a little bit. So we're gonna foam roll the glutes, and then right after you're done with your glutes, you're going to move on to your back. This is optional, and definitely be careful if you have previous back injuries or anything, but personally I really like how it feels. It cracks your back like a billion times and it feels so good. I don't know what it is about it, but I think it feels really good and just helps me kind of loosen up for my workout again. So totally optional. Also, you don't have to move your arms like I do, but I find that that kind of opens up my thoracic spine and helps me get in there a little bit more. After a few passes of rolling up my back, I like to move on to my lats. Again, this is optional for a lower body day, but I just like to kind of do a complete full body roll so everything's feeling good. You also want to make sure your back can stay engaged, because it's important to stabilize during any movement that we're going to be doing during the workout. So I like to hit my lats, do both sides, again, about 10 to 15 passes. After that, I move on to my hamstrings, and these can be kind of tricky to get when you're foam rolling. Then you can hold on to your toe and kind of roll back and forth like you saw there. After that, I moved on to doing my adductors, which is basically like your groin, I suppose, and this doesn't look super cute again, but this is really important, and I encourage you not to skip over this part of foam rolling, because this area is tight for a lot of people, including myself, and I always feel so much better after I take the time to roll them out. So just place the foam roller, you kind of have to play with the angle a little bit, but just place the foam roller like perpendicular with your thigh, and that should do the trick. After that, I like to move on to using a massage stick roller. This one is from ProSource and will be linked below, but this is basically a more targeted way to foam roll, and especially for the body parts that are harder to hit with a foam roller, this is really nice. So for me, that's my quads, my calves, my shins, and my hamstrings. So you will see me rolling over those areas as well. I also like to keep this one in my gym bag, and if I'm having longer rest periods between exercises, I'll spend that time rolling out. It's also very portable, so if you're, let's say, going on a trip and you don't want to bring a foam roller, but you want to stay on top of your recovery, this is also a good option. So that is going to wrap up my quick and effective glute activation / warm up / mobility session that I like to do before my lower body workouts. if you have any sort of injuries or limitations, definitely keep those in mind and work around them. Consult your physical therapist or whoever you work with on that kind of stuff, and they can give you more specific exercises. But this is what I like to do, and I am staying relatively healthy and injury-free with this regimen. Try it out, let me know how it goes, and again, I will see you guys in the next video, which will be a beginner-friendly glute workout. Also, thank you again to ProSource for partnering with me on this video. I will link their products below, and I highly recommend them, so feel free to check them out and use discount code WOLD20 to save on your order. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.